All right. Hello everybody. This is some Wolfenstein New Order gameplay, and I want to use this gameplay just to, have you something to watch while I talk about Kendrick Lamar's new album, "To Pimp a Butterfly." It is basically a masterpiece. It's really amazing. But I want to talk about because I've been gushing about this album on social media for the last week or so, and I want to talk about specifically why I like this album. I have a whole spiel, so please let me just gush and do all my fangirling right now. Okay, so this is I'm gonna take it back a little bit. There's a movie came out many years ago, I think like 2010 or 2011. Toy Story 3. Remember Toy Story 3? Yeah, that one was a pretty good movie. See, that movie came out when it was around the time I was either a sophomore in high school or a junior in high school, one of those 2 years. But long story short, it came out while I was getting close to the end of high school. So, when you're about to get out of high school, the thing that's on your mind is colleges and the whole idea of leaving home, the whole idea of just leaving everything you're used to. And so when I watched Toy Story 3, I watched it right at that time where I was more or less in the shoes of Andy's character. Because if you guys haven't seen Toy Story 3, which shame on you, you should have seen it. That whole movie is about how Andy, the little kid from the first two Toy Story movies, has grown up. He's about to go to college and he's leaving his toys behind to go on to be, a real life adult. And the entire movie is playing with that idea of leaving your childish things behind and whatnot. And so, me watching that movie at that time, that movie spoke to me so directly, and it just said a lot of things that I related to in a way that I could easily understand and easily relate to. Like I'm gonna be honest with you, I can't relate to, like, I don't know, toys that can talk. I can't relate to that, but just putting it in, like, they had colorful characters to portray this message in. They had every single character in there seemed like it served a purpose and it was there for a reason. There were no throwaway characters. Nothing was bland. It was all entertaining. It was an entertaining way to get that message across for me. So that movie spoke to me really directly because I felt like I was going through the same things that Andy was going through in that movie. So that's the main reason why I like that movie. In fact, Toy Story 3 is probably my favorite movie of all time because of that, because of how directly it spoke to me and just how amazing of a film that was on its own. Now, why am I bringing up Toy Story 3? I bring up Toy Story 3 because for a lot of reasons, it's the same reason I like To Pimp a Butterfly so much. To Pimp a Butterfly is, as you already know, Kendrick Lamar's new album, and it's talking about a lot of very relevant stuff. Like, a lot of it is ripped straight out of the headlines for the last, like, year or two of stuff. He's talking about, like, the Trayvon Martin way to screw up the commentary. He's talking about the Trayvon Martin shooting that happened a couple years ago. He's talking about just topics that are always relevant, like being black in America and how the music industry treats black artists and just artists in general, really. And he's talking a lot about these issues that are always going to be important, but specifically with the issues of being black in America and all this stuff and the whole, lack of fair treatment. I'm agreeing with just about every point of view he's putting into these songs. Like, he has a song called like the single that he's put out. He's put out this song called Black of the Berry that came out months before the album came out, but he put that out. The entire song is basically about him being a hypocrite because he'll get outraged when someone like Trayvon Martin is shot and you see it in the news, but his life on the streets has led him to show violence towards other blacks. So how can he be so offended when he's done pretty much the exact same thing in his own life? And while I haven't done anything like that in my life because I'm an innocent little kid, I wouldn't hurt a fly. Fly would probably beat me up, honestly. But I can agree with that because I feel like I have no ground to stand on if I try and get mad about stuff like that because, my people, quote unquote black people, are just doing the same exact things. By the way, you see this little piece of metal just floating in the air? I thought that was pretty weird. I had to point that out. And so yeah, I'm really agreeing with that message. He has another song in there called Complexion, parentheses a Zulu love. That's a subtitle of the song. With the Rhapsody feature on there, that entire song is about not just the fact that, quote unquote, my black is beautiful and all that stuff. I'm sure that's like some ad campaign or something. But it's not just about how you have to be proud of the fact you're black. It's the fact that complexion doesn't matter, or at least it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter like what color you are, because everyone has the potential to be a great person no matter what they look like. And that is something I've always felt is true. Like, I've always believed that I believe that you're more than just what you look like. You are the contents of your character. And I've always held that belief to be true all the time. I know some terrible people of every race, and I know some great people of every race. And I really agree with that message. And I feel like this is all coming at a perfect time for me, because with all this stuff going on in the news, it's like, it has me thinking about who am I going to be as an adult, because, I'm 20 now. When Toy Story 3 came out, I was probably like 16 or 17 years old, and I was starting to think about all the topics that they put in that movie. With this To Pimp a Butterfly album, I'm like 20 years old right now, and these are things that I'm going to have to start dealing with. Like, he raps a lot about police brutality and whatnot, and I've always thought for the longest time I haven't really had to deal with police brutality. But like an example, a couple of months ago, I got a speeding ticket, and I was going too fast. There was no one on the road. It was like, almost 11 o'clock at night. So it wasn't like I was in any real danger, but I did go too fast. So I was in the wrong. But the police officer who wrote my ticket said that I was like racing. Like, I was going so fast that he apparently thought I was racing someone, which, is completely false. I'm not really, like I said, I'm kind of harmless. I'm kind of afraid of most things. I wouldn't really go out street racing, especially not in a very large white truck with low gas mileage. So he wrote down on my little speeding ticket thing that it was racing, and my mom had the biggest fit about it, because she didn't want that to be, because she wanted to fight it originally. She wanted to get a lawyer and fight the ticket, but I ultimately ended up just paying it. And so she was concerned that, that's not what you were doing. That's not at all what you were doing, and that's very obvious. Why would he write something like that if that's not the case? And so we had to have a back and forth about it, but like I said, I ultimately ended up paying it. And then even paying the ticket was still a pain, because that ticket was, because I'm only 20, so they only give you a certain amount of points you can have on your license, and that one offense was the maximum amount of points I could have on my license. I think it's like 4, and then that one offense was worth 4 points. So then I had to go get a driver's permit, or just something that I could drive to work and school, and that was a huge hassle and everything. And now I have to drive with that permit only, and once my license basically got suspended for 6 months. So once the 6 months is over, I have to come back and pay $200 to get a real license again. And now that thing's gonna be like on my quote unquote on my record forever. And it sucks, because like, sure, I was speeding, but it got blown out of proportion so far because of what the cop wrote on there. And it's a big hassle that I probably wouldn't have had to go through if I wasn't my race, to be completely honest with you. And like, I didn't want to think that at first, because I like to think that, nothing to me happens just because of, I like to think I'm judged on the content of my character all the time. But like, an interaction like that, you're not going to see who I am as a person. That's not relevant. And so I'm starting to feel that. I'm starting to see the effects of, being seen as a black youth in America, and how that can be negatively seen. And it's not making me feel too good. Like, I'm not about to run outside and start a riot or anything, but I'm just starting to see it. And it's definitely troubling. And so this Kendrick Lamar album has come just at the right time, because this entire album it's a whole lot about race in America. It's a whole lot about finding your home, or knowing your home, and learning from your home, but also wanting to leave. Like me, I'm still in college right now. I'm trying to go to college and get some type of education so I can get out of here, because I love where I grew up. I live in a relatively small town, but like, you know, this town's full of people who have just born here and stayed here, and that's kind of a dangerous thing if you stay in the place where you grew up, because you don't get a chance to broaden your horizons. You don't get a chance to you don't get a chance to have your opinions challenged, so you can either be confident in what you think, or you can either have a better sometimes outlook on things. And I kind of don't want to be in this environment that long. Like I'll come back here. I'm sure it's not like I'll leave home and then never come back, but I will come back here. Just like in Kendrick's album, he has a song called Mama, where he comes back to the hood that he grew up in, and he realizes that, you know, all the stuff he thought he knew means nothing. He actually didn't know anything once he comes back home and realizes all this. So yeah, this entire album is hitting a chord with me. It's striking a chord, and I'm agreeing with everything he's saying on this album. I'm relating with this album so much more than Good Kid, Mad City, because like I said, I didn't grow up in the hood or anything. I mean I might be black, but I'm not a thug or anything. I can understand what he's talking about and stuff like Good Kid, Mad City, because I've seen stuff like that before, but I can't say I've seen it firsthand. But this album in particular, like, I'm seeing the effects of race right now. I'm seeing how a song like Complexion, or this whole entire album, I feel should be heard by, like, it should be heard by everyone. I feel like a lot of people are not gonna like this album. They're gonna be listening to it thinking, oh man, Good Kid, Mad City was a great album, this is gonna be another good album, right? And they're gonna listen to this album and they won't like it. It's very funky, has a lot of R&B tones. It's very racially charged, especially a song like Black of the Berry, and especially a song like The End of I, which is a different cut of I. He had a radio version he put out. This one ends with like a crowd interaction, and it's completely different, but that's very racially charged. And I'm thinking a lot of people aren't going to really either understand or get down with this album, but I hope they give this album a chance, because it's truly a work of art. It's probably one of the best rap albums to come out in the last couple of years, probably the last 10 years or so. And this is definitely going to be one of those like just general music classics that is going to be, you know, referenced from now until the end of time. This album is truly something to behold, and I hope people do behold it. So yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say. This gameplay is starting to wrap up, and you've watched the cutscene for the last couple minutes now, I guess. And right now I want to stop because this is a cute scene.
Right on that.
And there's one more thing. It's quite critical.
What?
I thought that was really cute. Yeah, Wolfenstein's a great game. I feel like everyone should buy that game too. But yeah, go buy Kendrick Lamar's To Pimp a Butterfly. I did. I hope you do too. And yeah, it's just a great album. Relates to me. Hopefully I'll make some more videos later on, and I will see you later on. Bye-bye.